All right, we've got a kind of a fun comparison here today. And we're going to look at two Martin dreadnoughts, which I've got two of the best Martin dreadnoughts made, modern Martin dreadnoughts. I have a 1939 D18 authentic over here. I've got a D28 41 authentic. I've got my number one Proulx, and I've got my number two Proulx over here. The two Proulx are an OMD body size, and I did a video recently on why no dreadnought will ever be my number one guitar, and I used the number one OMD for that. A couple comments said, well, you've got a number two OMD, let's hear the two of them together. I thought, well, all right, that's a good comparison. So I was driving back today, and I thought, what would be fun is to compare what I just did, the two dreadnoughts versus the two OMDs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the D18 first, and then I'm going to put the number two Proulx, because I feel like it kind of more of a D18 than it is a rosewood guitar. And we're going to talk about all these guitars individually after you hear the A-B comparison. And then I'm going to put the Southeast Asian rosewood OMD, and I'm compare it to this one. So we're going to go D18, number two Proulx, number one Proulx, and that way you can compare the two Proulx back and forth, and then the D28. And then I'm going to talk about each guitar individually into what I feel really are the strengths and maybe what are the weaker points. None of these are weak guitars. These are all fabulous guitars here. But there's a couple things that I think, this guitar is really, really good for this. And this guitar maybe not quite so great for that. So we'll just go ahead and do the A-B. But here's quickly the body sizes. I think this is right. Here's your OMD over here versus the dreadnought. And you can see the difference in the body shape. The OMD, the shoulders, look at the shoulders right here. They were square. This is not an OM. The only thing OM about it is the body depth. Let's see if we can get the depth on here. It's hard to get them actually on the camera, but you can see it's a little bit shallow. It's about a ½ an inch shallow, which makes it more comfortable for me. The body itself is shorter. This is actually a 25.5 inch scale, whereas the Martins are 25.4 inch scale. So this is a longer scale, just a little, But there's the two body sizes side by side. It's not a huge, massive difference, but your eye is deceiving you a little bit because of the way this body shape is. Makes it look like it's a little bit bigger than it really is. It's an OM size, basically. We started with an OM 28, Martin OM 28, which I had at the time and was really good. The waists are pulled out a little bit. The upper bout is kind of squared off and rotated forward. So it has a little bit more body mass up in here than an OM. So let's get to the A-B comparison now. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the individual guitars as to what I think are the high points and some things that you might want to listen for on the recording. Okay? So we're going to cut to the A-B now.
This is a D18 1939 authentic aged. This has been in lots of videos where I was talking about the neck reset process. This guitar is on its third neck reset right now, and the first two didn't count. I talk about that, okay? And that's why it's missing the 15th fret right here, because I haven't put the fret back in yet. I get this guitar on loan for a couple months until probably about the spring or so to use in videos like this, because it is such an outstanding example of a D18. This, as far as I'm concerned, is the epitome of a small neck D18. You know, the 37 D18, I think, has got the big neck, the wider spacing, the forward X bracing, all that sort of thing. But this is a rear X, skinny neck, narrow spacing. This is the epitome of that style of guitar, which all of these guitars, no, they're not. The Proulx are advanced X, but anyways, this is the epitome of that kind of D18. What I like about the D18 is the warmth in it. I mean, there's no question this is a nice, warm sounding guitar. And in being a D18, it doesn't quite have the bass rumble that the 28 has, because it's a mahogany guitar. That's what mahogany guitars do. But this one sure has a really nice tone. It's got that warm D18 sound. It's still got brightness to it. No, it's got an upper end clarity to it that the 28's got more rumble. But this guitar, like all D18s, in my humble opinion, are so good at this cross picking stuff. That just really sounds so good. All those notes blended in together. But on an 18, the notes are a little bit more defined, possibly, than a 28. I don't know. It's a warmer sound to me. I'm trying to think with this guitar, besides that. The trebles are good on this, you know. I really, I like this lick. But the mid-range on all Martins is just not poppy. So let's take a look at, aside from the fact that it's a big body, and that's the main reason that the OMDs fit me so good, is because the body is smaller, and I have the whole video where I talk about that smaller body. But this is just so much more comfortable for me. I'm only 5'5" and 3/4 of an inch. I'm small. Mostly in my legs. My legs are short. My upper body is actually either a medium or large shirt, and you know, my arms are a decent wingspan.
But this OMD is just so comfortable for me. The neck is right here instead of having to reach that extra little bit. Comfortable. But what I like about the sound of this one, this is number 2 OMD, and it is made of walnut. Walnut, back and sides. The binding is walnut. Mario doesn't use plastic on anything. Mario Proulx, the builder of this guitar. All of the binding is wood. This was wood binding. This is a Proulx neck, and I can't remember what the bridge is. I think the bridge is Proulx too. I can't remember. It's a hot rosewood, if you will. It has a hot rosewood bridge plate on it, and it has an Engelmann spruce top. This guitar is one that Mario made for me because I was doing all of his U.S. repair work for a while, and I didn't charge him anything. I just did it. I did it for free. And he said, well, I'm going to build you a guitar as payment. And I said, cool. He said, what would you like? I said, well, you know, I played, I believe Alan Shadd's. Alan Shadd has a Ronnie Griffith that has, no, that's a German spruce top. It was Raleigh Brown's guitar. Raleigh Brown had or has a Dudenbostel with an Engelmann spruce top, and I think it's walnut. It could be that Alan's is the walnut back and sides, and Raleigh's got the Engelmann top. But I know I have played Raleigh and Alan's guitars, and there's some sort of combination there of walnut and Engelmann. And I know, I'm pretty sure that Raleigh's has the Engelmann top, but I can't remember his back and side. And I know that when I play that guitar, there's a sweetness to the tone. Both of my mandolins are Engelmann tops. And I hear that same sweetness, roundness. It's not like a red spruce top. It's not punchy, but it's much clearer than Sitka. Sitka can be dirty sounding, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just a dirty sound. And I told Mary, I said, you know, I'd like to have a walnut Engelmann. And he said, that's funny, because I wanted to build one of those. So he built me this guitar. I requested the shade top so that I'd have a different, and I love shade tops. And he got me this guitar. He built this, gave it to me at Kaufman Camp in 2003. It's got a water-based finish on it. It's not nitrocellulose lacquer. He was playing around with water-based finishes because he doesn't like spraying lacquer. He's pretty allergic to it too. And so that's what this has got. It's really thin. And when he handed it to me at Kaufman Camp, I said, how tough is the finish? And he said, oh, it's pretty tough. You probably wouldn't want to do this. And he's holding the guitar, and I'm holding the guitar, and he throws his keys on the guitar. And, you know, there's no dent on it, you know. He said, yeah, it's pretty tough, you know, but you probably wouldn't want to do that. It's got no scratches on it. And over time, the finish is sunk into here so that you can see the pores of the wood, which you would see on a thin finish. It's a great finish. I mean, you know, I've never had to repair it. I don't know what it would be like repairing it, but I hadn't had any need for it. This guitar is a 2003. It's 20 years old. Yeah, it's in great shape. I use this guitar because I put a K&K pickup in it. I use this guitar for my stage guitar, my performance guitar, plug-in, and because it's pretty too. And this is the one that I use primarily for anything I have to plug in or anything that I'm going to play a variety of style of music on, because I feel that this guitar can handle any style of music. It's not a bluegrass specialist. I don't feel like the tone is bluegrassy, but it's superb at Irish music. It's superb at everything, you know. So that's why I play it in solo guitar gigs. I feel like it's a really, really good solo guitar gig. Solo gig guitar. So the funny story about this guitar, I got it and I played it about a year and I just didn't like it. For one thing, it has a double X bracing in here, which is another thing. I just build me something, build something different. It has an X bracing here like a normal Martin, but then it has another X that comes across over here like a Gibson. Mario is very as much Gibson influence as he is Martin influence. Straight bridges, for instance, Gibson influence. Even a little bit of the body shape is Gibson influence. The double expiration, which is something I would have recoiled in horror, but he gave it to me. So there it is, It's got a large sound hole like all of Mario's guitars. But anyway, I didn't like this guitar a year and a half. The bass sounded really rubber bandy to me. It still sounds a little bit rubber bandy. If I describe it like that, then that's all I'm ever going to hear. So I needed some money, thought I needed some money, and I sold this guitar to my friend Andy. And Andy got it, and he said, well, it's a perfect couch guitar. And so I'm insulted already because it's not a couch guitar. So Andy kept it about a year, and he sold it to our mutual friend Peter. Peter, I worked on a couple of guitars for him in the meantime, and he brought it to Kaufman Camp about 3 years after I sold it to Andy. And I played it again, and I'm like, wow, this is not the guitar that I sold. The mid-range and the trebles were just so much better. And so I said, man, if you ever want to sell it, please give me first rights or refusal. And maybe a year and a half after that, so the guitar's been gone for 5 years now. Peter emailed me and said, yeah, I'm going to sell it. And he's getting another guitar, So he sold it back to me for the same price that I sold it to Andy. Andy sold it to him, and I got it back for that same price. So it ended up being like a 5-year interest-free loan. I got it back and immediately started playing it much, much, much more. So it's never going anywhere ever again. It's a great guitar. So what I feel that it's really good at, like I said, is the variety of sounds that it can produce. So it sounds really good to me on swing. Let's do trebles. Man, it does that. So good on Irish stuff. I think that's my anyway. The bass on that is fat, sustaining, rich. That's why I don't like it so much for a bluegrass guitar, because it's a little rich. It's a little more sustained, and I want my bluegrass guitars to be punchy. Sharp darts shooting at you. And this is a fuller sound. Superb at things like this. Because the Engelmann top, you can overdrive an Engelmann top. It's softer wood. You can't pound on this guitar, but it responds so good to a lighter touch like that. And I can make every single note in there pop out as I want to. So on some of these dreads, for instance, I can't get that. I can't get that pop out of there, and I can't get the bass to stay down. So I can bring those trebles up, and the bass is there, but it's not overpowering. It's just balanced, So that's a balanced guitar, and that's what I feel this is so good for. When I played the gig at the restaurant, again, I was in there. It was an open mic. Sometimes I was the only guy that showed up, so I'd have the open mic all to myself for 3 hours, and I'd play everything that I know. I played a medley of jigs and then switched immediately to Hendrix. So I called it Jigs and Jimmy, you know. And it works so good for that kind of thing. So. You can just pull the notes out of there, you know. You can make, like I said, you could make any range of notes come out or go down as you wanted to. It's just so responsive. And that's what I feel that this guitar is really, really good at. Is that just variety of stuff that it does. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't do bluegrass really, really great. But it does everything else really good. Which, let's pick up this D28 here. Okay? So here's a D28, and here's the same sort of thing. Bass, that's all I got. I got bass. I didn't get that whoop out of it, you see? Doesn't have it. Doesn't have that mid-range snap out of there. Boom. You know, it's too much bass. It's not the same. I would so much rather play the R&B. So let's try the Irish thing. You know, it does that okay, but that's just not as rich as this is. Yeah, I like that. You can disagree how you want to, but I would so much rather play that sort of stuff on there. So let's take the D28. What's the D28 get at? Bluegrass rhythm, you know. Yeah, you know, I mean bluegrass rhythm, D28. A D28 to me is just got that rumble in it that the 18 doesn't have. The 18 is friendly and soft and like caramel, and the 28 is so much more aggressive, like a bulldog, you know. But let's see, for instance, I'm not getting the pop out of that I got out of the OMD. I wouldn't want to use it for that. I mean, I would if I had to, but you know. Egg, you know. I don't like it for that at all. Bluegrass, yeah. Fiddle tunes, yeah, you know. Good for that. No problem. No problem. 9-pound hammer, you know. Nine-pound hammer. It's got that rumble to it. Bluegrass rhythm. This bluegrass guitar right here. The only thing I want to play. Swing. Let's try swing. You can get by with swing on it. It's minor swing again. This has good trebles, you know. I'm probably hitting it a little bit harder than I am on the OMD. And these trebles are bitey. They're snappy. I could play dog music on it, not necessarily jazz and swing, because, for instance, this doesn't work for me. The notes just aren't coming out distinct, and I can't make each note pop. I don't have control over the pop. I have to work too hard to make it pop, so it's not reactive. So I wouldn't really want to play that, but I could play dog music on it, no problem, you know, because Tony set that bar for us. You know, later on when I heard other guys like John Carlini and John Soul, and then the guy that played the gut string guitar, Enrique, I cannot remember his name. Now, Grisman's gone through a lot of guitar players, but they changed the sound of dog music. So when I say dog music, I'm talking about the first two Grisman albums. Tony set the bar on that, so that we're used to that. We're used to the antique. We're used to his D28 rumble on that. That's the sound that I want to hear out of dog music. This guitar would do that, you know, more than the D18, because it has the deep end rumble to it, you know. No problem, you know, because that's what I want to hear in dog music. So that's a bluegrass guitar. They're doubling dog. All right, now the Proulx OMD, number one. This is number one here, and this one to me is the more powerful bluegrass guitar. This one's much more bluegrassy than the Engelmann spruce. So. That, as opposed to this one. You can hear that rubber band sound that I'm talking about. It doesn't have the rumble. It's clear, sustainy. It's better for finger picking kind of oriented sort of stuff. So it works better for the Irish music, the stuff I already talked about. But this one is much more aggressive to me. No, some of you commented, oh, you know, I never played this in a jam. It can't hold up. Yeah, let me tell you what. This guitar, I said, you can overdrive the Engelmann spruce top. If you play it too hard, it hits a limit. This guitar, you can play this guitar as hard as you want, and you will drown out everybody else there. I'm playing probably 60% of my actual power. When I got to this guitar, I was used to playing the Collings, Clarence Wright, which is a Brazilian rosewood, Adirondack spruce. Collings are kind of tight guitars, and that was a monstrously good guitar, but it never ever had the whomp, that percussive whomp to it. And I would lay into that guitar, and I would play it hard. And when I got to this guitar, I had to back off. And I had to back off to where it completely retrained my right hand to play lighter. But if I'm in a jam and I'm going to bear down on this thing, I can bear down on it. And it barks. So the microphone's not going to get it because the microphone's going to limit out for one thing, and YouTube is going to limit out, and so you're not going to get the power of this thing. But let me try to play a 9-pound hammer with varying degrees of power. Okay, I'm going to bring my power up. So I'm going to start fairly light. Break strings off of it in a minute. It's still not done. The other thing that's limiting it really is the action is pretty low. The action is less than 3/32 of an inch. It's less than 90 on the low E. So, I'm already buzzing a little bit there, but if I pop the action up a little bit, do I want to really pound on it? This thing barks. So let's go after the D28. Let's do the same thing on the D28. Let's take 9-pound hammer again, and let's bring the volume up about the same as I can on that. So. I didn't hear the dynamics there that I did on the Proulx. You can disagree with me if you want to, but it kind of stayed more level to me. It came up a little bit, but let's see what you say about that. Here's the 18. Let's do the same thing on the 18. Just kind of fun, See if we can break a string here. I wait for that string to pop. Well, that's a good exercise in that's a good demonstration of bringing up the power of the thing. You can play too much power because they all got rumbly at the end. I'm driving them. I also, if you notice, as I got louder, I shifted back to the bridge just a little bit, because if I didn't, the string was not going to be there when my pick moved, the string is oscillating like crazy, and it's not going to be there. So I got to get back on the bridge a little bit to hit the spot where the string's not moving so much. So, okay, same thing on this one. And you'll hear that. You should hear this one break up. That's ridiculous, you know. All right, but there's an example of getting onto each guitar a little bit more. But again, in real life, number one, Proulx there is deafening. It is so loud. Microphone might tell a different story. I don't know. Listen to the tone. Listen to what happens to the jumble of sounds. I think number one, Proulx. Maybe I'm just used to it more, you know. But it seems like it stays clearer to me. Yeah, and I wouldn't play that loud for very long. I would rather use it when it was. I don't like loud anymore. I don't like loud jam sessions. If it's going to be loud, yeah, everybody's playing as hard as they can. I'm just going to go somewhere else because I can't hear my guitar. I can't hear the tone. I can't get dynamics when I'm playing that loud. I just don't like it. I like 4 people in a jam, and that's about it. Let's play some rhythm. Let's beat up on the rhythm a little bit. Do the same thing. So here's again. I'm going to bring the rhythm sounds up. It's going to blow the microphone out here. So. We'll just do these two. Thrasher grass. That's the frat rattle at the end of there. All righty. That's loud. You know, those guitars don't sound good played that hard. Your tone just goes away. Sounds so much better at the right touch, you know. And gosh, it sounded good when I started off at what I considered my fairly light right hand, you know. Yeah, that's about where it sounds good to me. Especially if a guy was singing, he could sing over that. So, you know, voice and, you know, it's 9-pound hammer. It's a little too heavy. Ready for my size. Ready for my size. I'm just talking over that. But, you know, you don't want to get your voice up unless you're, I've backed up some really, really powerful singers in the Texas Panhandle. That one guy, man, golly, you can hear him across the room. But that is across the whole entire hotel. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Whew, he can belt them. But I've never heard him quiet down. So you listen to Tony Rice on Hills of Roane County. And man, his voice quality is so good on that. And he is, I don't know how you can do a mournful song up at the top of your lungs. Let's put it that way. You know, Stanley Brothers stuff. You know, Carter Stanley sounded like he sounded so mournful on some of those things, but his voice was powerful, but not at the top of his range all the time, not at the top as loud as he could go. You got to back off. You got to have your dynamics. And so my point is here is that your lead singer ought to be able to get his dynamics in there and your volume ought to match that. And you should not be playing at the top of your range all the time. So I don't like the sound of those guitars. But when I started off soft, you see, by developing the power and knowing what it could do, I hit some, you know, I used 80% of my power once in a while on there. And each guitar responded differently depending on, you know, the guitar. So you want to see what they can do for more. But I also like to get it. I don't like dynamics, you know. So let's try this one again. So that one, I'm 50% of my power right there. I am nothing. I'm tickling the guitar. I don't. How light can I play this thing? That is as light as I can play this guitar, and it's booming. So, anyway, yeah. Number one, believe me, can hold its own. So, anyway, that's fun. Those are those 4 guitars. 4 of them, yeah. And I think I showed you what I thought were some of the strong points and some of the weak points. You know, once again, number 1 here, number 1 Proulx. This is just the bluegrass canon. To me, once again, like I heard Sean Lane play this on stage, and it just was like, that's the closest to Tony Rice sound I have ever in my life heard, apart from Tony. It's just, I'm sure that's 90% Sean Lane, but the guitar just sounded so good in his hands. The dread sounded good, but it didn't have that singing quality. Man, there was just some indescribable thing on the tone. That guitar is the most versatile, powerful, aggressive guitar of the bunch to me. Number 2 OMD here. This is the more versatile one. This is the one that does the swing stuff, the jazz stuff, the Irish stuff. Oh yeah, and it can do fiddle tunes. but they're not going to sound like bluegrass fiddle tunes. They're not going to have quite that same power and drive. The D28 here, oh, it's a D28, man. Bluegrass rhythm, you know, and dog. So bluegrass rhythm and dog for this one, no question. I don't feel like it's a real super versatile guitar like that. The Irish music doesn't sound inspiring, doesn't sing. Part of the singing stuff is that Engelmann spruce top, because it's got this certain roundness to the notes. And if you play an Irish mandolin, like a round hole, you know, A style, what's the brand of Irish mandolins? It's really good. It's got an almost tubby sound to it, but it's got that sound that you need for the Irish music. So an F5 doesn't cut it. A lure does not cut it, in my humble opinion, for Irish music. That round hole mandolin does. So I feel like this guitar kind of goes that direction more, you see. And yeah, it can cover fiddle tunes. And if I could find my pick, which I dropped, I would show you something else on that, but it doesn't matter. The D18, it just does what D18s do. If I'm playing bluegrass rhythm, I'd much rather have a D28. I'd just rather have a D28 all the way around. I get the D18 out when I want to hear something different. I feel like this guitar is David Greer. It is good for the for that cross picking. Again, you know, when I said this so many times, I was talking about the 37 D18 cross picking. That David Greer cross picky, woody, flowy sound. This guitar, I could sit there. I would play David Greer, Got the House to Myself on this guitar. That's just boom. This guitar, you know. Even though that was his dad's 50s D18, which is a different animal than that. But that's the kind of stuff I play on that immediately, is anything with cross-picking, flat picking with thing. You can pick up your Norman Blake stuff out of that. That's a different sound than the 28. And that's a terrific D18. I love that guitar. But if I had to walk out here with one of them, it would be the 28, no question. I mean, that would just be it. And then I'd look back longingly at the D18, you know. You know what I mean? If I could take one, it would be the 28. It'd actually be my Proulx #1, because it is a D28. It's Southeast Asian rosewood back and side, so it's a D28. And my #2 over here with the walnut back and sides is more of a mahogany guitar. I don't know what walnut would sound like compared to mahogany. To me, it's the Engelmann spruce top that's giving it that rich sound. And I knew Engelmann couldn't be driven as hard, but that's not what I wanted it for. So, all right. I lost my pick. I heard it fall. Probably fell in one of the guitars. So, anyway, whatever. That was fun. So, let me know what you think about those. Bye.